At my daughter's 6th birthday recital, my ex-in-laws made her cousin perform the violin solo and blow out the candles while my daughter sobbed beside her untouched cake. My ex-mother-in-law barked, "Keep her quiet." My ex-sister-in-law sneered, "Don't raise attention seekers." I walked out silently, but my response 2 days later exposed everything. The music was perfect, the kind that makes your chest flutter. I had rented the entire ballroom at the Mayfield Conservatory for Lily's 6th birthday, my daughter's first proper violin recital, followed by a celebration gala with cake, streamers, and those glittery favors she always adored. My name is Hannah. I'm 30, a systems analyst based in Arlington, Virginia, and I've been a single mom since Lily was 2. It hasn't been easy, but I was proud of what I pulled off that day. Everything was in place. Lily stood on stage in a soft lavender dress I had custom made, clutching her little violin like it was part of her. Her cheeks were pink, more from excitement than nerves, and I remember thinking this is her moment. Until it wasn't. The music hadn't even started when I noticed the tension near the entrance. That's when they walked in, my ex-husband's parents, his sister, and of course their daughter Beatrice, all dressed like they were attending a royal wedding, dripping with pearls and purpose. "Oh, look at her," my former mother-in-law cooed loudly, pointing not at Lily, but at Beatrice who was cradling her own violin. "Such poise, she's ready." My heart dropped. I hadn't seen Beatrice with a violin in over a year. I knew exactly what they were planning. "Excuse me?" I asked, stepping toward them. "Lily's performing the solo." My ex-sister-in-law didn't even meet my eyes. We decided it would be best for Beatrice to take the lead. Lily can still join the ensemble piece afterward. "You decided?" I repeated, trying to keep my voice calm. "This is Lily's recital." My ex-mother-in-law turned to me, smiling with her teeth but not her eyes. "Sweetheart, don't make this about you. Beatrice has more performance experience. We're thinking about the audience." I looked over at Lily, who was still adjusting her bow, oblivious. "I'm thinking about my daughter," I said quietly. "Well, sometimes you have to learn how to share the spotlight," she snapped, then turned away. I tried to protest again, but 2 of the conservatory staff had already been corralled into rearranging the program sheets. The MC, clearly flustered, skipped over Lily's name entirely. And just like that, Beatrice stepped onto the stage. Lily turned to me confused. "Mommy," she whispered. I didn't have an answer. The performance was fine hollow if you ask me, but Lily didn't cry until the cake. It was a 3-tier pink creation with edible flowers and a sugar violin topper. I told the baker to spell her name in gold script. But when the lights dimmed and the room gathered around, someone handed the knife to Beatrice. "Let her do it," my ex-mother-in-law said cheerfully. She was the star today. And just like that, Beatrice closed her eyes and made the wish. Lily stood next to her, blinking rapidly, her hands clenched into fists. I moved to stop it. I really did. But someone grabbed my arm, my ex-sister-in-law, and hissed, "Don't ruin this. Don't make it about your drama." Lily's sobs broke through the clapping. I looked around the room and saw faces pretending not to hear. That was it. I didn't say another word. I took Lily's hand, scooped up her jacket, and we left. No goodbye. No explanation. In the car, I kept one hand on the steering wheel and the other on hers. She was silent, her cheeks wet with tears. Something in me broke that day. Not just because they stole her moment, but because I realized it wasn't the first time. And I was done letting it happen. Back at home, Lily crawled into my lap like she was 3 again, not 6. We sat on the couch, her party dress wrinkled, a half-wilted hair bow still clinging to her curls. I hadn't even taken off my heels. "Was I bad?" she asked. Her voice was barely louder than a whisper. I pulled her tighter against me. "No, baby. You were perfect." "Then why did Beatrice get to cut the cake?" "It was my cake." I couldn't answer right away. I felt the sting build in my throat, the heat behind my eyes. Because how do you explain that people will hurt you, even family, and expect you to smile through it? "They just made a wrong decision," I said finally. "And I'm so sorry I let it happen." Lily nodded, but I could tell she didn't believe me. "Not really. That's what broke me." After she went to bed, I sat in the kitchen with a mug of tea I never drank, staring at the closed patio door. The house was still. Too still. That's when the guilt crept in. Not the kind you shake off with logic, but the kind that wraps around your ribs and tightens. Because this wasn't the first time. There was the Christmas 2 years ago when everyone forgot to buy Lily a gift, and she smiled anyway as Beatrice unwrapped designer boots and a pony riding lesson. The family trip to Maine they said wasn't suitable for children Lily's age, then posted pictures of Beatrice building sandcastles by the ocean. The award ceremony at her preschool where she got a certificate for reading, but no one came, while Beatrice's whole clan turned up in coordinated outfits. And me? I had always said nothing, smoothed things over, told Lily that people show love in different ways. I was trying to keep the peace, for her. But now, sitting there alone in the dim light of our kitchen, I realized I hadn't been keeping peace. I had been feeding her to wolves. My phone buzzed on the counter. Then again. Ex-mother-in-law, drama queens. You embarrassed everyone. Ex-husband, you always make it about you. Grow up. Ex-sister-in-law, you're teaching Lily to be selfish. Great job. I stared at the screen until it went dark again. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I turned my phone off. No explanations, no justifying, just silence. I climbed into Lily's bed that night. She was curled up, clutching her stuffed elephant, her little face relaxed in sleep. I brushed her hair back and kissed her forehead. I thought of all the ways I'd been quiet over the years, all the times I let them treat her like a shadow in Beatrice's spotlight. I won't do it again. Love without respect isn't love at all. It's a lie. And I was done living a lie. That night I didn't cry. I made a decision. It was time to stop begging to be treated like we mattered. It was time to start showing them that we do. The next morning I dropped Lily off at school like nothing had happened. She wore a faded pink hoodie and carried a paper folder with a drawing of a unicorn she'd done the night before. The teacher smiled. Lily smiled back, but it didn't reach her eyes. I drove home in silence. No music, no podcasts, just the ticking sound of my blinker as I pulled into the garage. Then I went straight to my office, booted up my laptop, and opened the folder I'd labeled 3 years ago but never had the nerve to fill in. Lily Family Records. I started with the easy stuff, emails and texts from my ex-husband's family, dozens of them, asking for favors, offering suggestions about Lily's schooling, scolding me for not including Beatrice in birthday plans. I highlighted every passive-aggressive line, every moment where Lily was sidelined in favor of her cousin. I saved screenshots in a clean, organized folder. Then I dug deeper. There was the check from Lily's grandmother, the one who had passed 2 years ago, meant for Lily's education. I remembered the amount, $25,000. It had been put into a trust fund in Lily's name, handled by her father's side of the family. I logged into the shared online trust portal. Zero balance. My chest tightened. I knew it hadn't been touched for tuition. Lily wasn't even in private school. So where did it go? I checked the transaction history. Over the past year, there were multiple transfers labeled Equine Academy fee, stable expenses, and show entry costs. My breath caught. Beatrice's horseback riding. They stole from Lily. From a 6-year-old. My hands shook, but I kept clicking. Tax filings came next. I opened the returns I had requested last year for co-parenting coordination. My ex-husband and his parents had claimed Lily as a dependent. Twice. Even in the years Lily hadn't spent more than a single weekend with them. Illegal. And it wasn't just money. I found emails to the private grant board for youth classical arts development, one I had applied to for Lily. Denied. I opened Beatrice's public profile and found a posted acceptance letter, dated 3 weeks later. Same grant, same fund, but different child. Beatrice. It was all there. Every interception, every rerouted opportunity, every favor passed off with a smile and a jab about how Lily would understand when she's older. I closed my laptop slowly. Anger had been burning under my ribs for hours, but now it cooled into something sharper. This wasn't petty. This wasn't emotional. This was theft, exploitation, financial manipulation. And Lily was their casualty. I stood, stretched my fingers, and opened a new document. Subject: legal grounds for financial fraud, educational deception, and dependent misuse. I didn't feel scared anymore. I felt focused. They thought I was just a tired single mom too overwhelmed to fight back. But I analyzed systems for a living. And now I was building one of my own. They wouldn't see it coming, but they would feel it. Every single page. I didn't announce anything. No dramatic phone calls, no warnings. Just quiet, deliberate motion. First, the lawyer. I emailed a woman I'd met once at a tech seminar years ago, Marisol Danner, a family law attorney who specialized in trust misappropriation. I told her everything. Within an hour, she replied with one line. They messed with the wrong analyst. Let's get to work. Next, a forensic accountant. Marisol looped her in. Her name was Felicia, and she didn't blink at the story. She just said, send me everything. I shared the trust withdrawals, tax records, the grant program details, and timelines. Within a day, she emailed back. I've seen uglier, but this one's audacious. We can prove misappropriation and false dependent claims. And possibly fraud. Then Lily's school. I made an appointment with the front office, sat in the counselor's room across from a soft-spoken woman with kind eyes. I need Lily's file updated, I told her. Remove all access for the Halloways. That includes emergency contacts, pickup permissions, and school event notifications. From now on, only I'm listed. She didn't ask for details, just nodded. We'll handle it today. I hesitated, then asked, has Lily seemed off to you? Withdrawn. The counselor's face shifted. She glanced at her screen. She's quiet after weekends. Sometimes she says her tummy hurts. A few weeks ago, she asked if being good meant being invisible. I blinked hard. She said that. I whispered. The counselor nodded. I was planning to call you. I didn't want to overstep. No, I said. Thank you for telling me. Please keep notes. Anything. If she ever says something, I want to know. From there, I reached out to someone I never thought I'd need, a journalist. Her name was Chelsea Vane. She wrote long-form pieces on local education, family law, and community equity. I sent her a brief summary, not naming names yet, just enough to catch her attention. She replied in under 10 minutes. If what you're saying can be documented, I want this story. I've written about financial abuse before, but this sounds personal and systemic. I sent her a redacted version of the timeline, the grants, the tax claims. I also attached a few photos from Lily's birthday gala, the ones where Beatrice was blowing out the candles while Lily stood on the sidelines, tears on her cheeks. Chelsea's next email was shorter. I'm in. Full expose. Just say when. The pieces were falling into place. Quietly. Exactly how I needed them to. I sat at my desk one night, light from the hallway spilling in as Lily slept. My screen glowed with open documents, legal templates, media folders, backup logs, and a new file I had just finished. Revocation of contact privileges, extended family, updated will, sole guardian designation. I wasn't just fighting. I was sealing the doors behind me. The truth is, they didn't think I'd do it. They thought I'd scream into the void, cry into my pillow, then show up at Thanksgiving with a store-bought pie and a polite smile. But I was done showing up for people who erased my child's name from her own life. They had taken her spotlight. Now I was about to take their foundation, brick by brick, and I'd do it quietly, respectfully, professionally, because they wouldn't see it coming, but they'd never forget what followed. I published the post on a Wednesday morning. It took me 3 weeks to write. It started like this. This is my daughter, Lily, crying next to a cake she didn't get to cut. She's 6. It was her birthday, but her cousin made the wish. Her solo was stolen. Her moment was erased. Underneath, I included the photo. Lily's tiny fists clenched at her sides, eyes red and watery. Behind her, Beatrice beaming, knife in hand. Grown-ups clapping. The post continued. Lily has been overlooked, sidelined, and financially stripped by people who claim to love her. For years I stayed silent to keep the peace. But peace at the expense of a child's worth is not peace. It's complicity. I laid it all out, receipts, timelines, screenshots. I redacted minors' names but left the adult ones intact. I detailed how her trust fund was drained, how fraudulent tax filings claimed her as a dependent, and how education grants were rerouted under false pretenses. I didn't use fancy language. Just facts, documents, and truth. I posted it to a popular parenting blog I followed. I also shared it to my LinkedIn under my real name with one line. If you work in systems long enough, you learn how to trace damage to its source. At first, I expected quiet. Maybe a few nods of support. Some shared outrage. But by noon, it was everywhere. Hundreds of comments. Thousands of shares. Legal professionals chiming in, quoting statutes. Mothers posting their own stories of quiet erasure. Teachers sharing anecdotes about children being pushed aside. Child advocacy groups picked it up. A family trauma specialist reposted it with a comment. This is why some children grow up doubting their value. Not because they weren't loved, but because they weren't chosen. By day 2, it went viral. People began digging on their own. Someone uncovered a tax filing that matched the year Lily had been illegally claimed. Another user found Beatrice listed on an equestrian program funded by a need-based family grant, with suspicious application dates. Screenshots flew. Comments turned into threads. Someone from a nonprofit messaged me privately. We've been trying to flag this family's charitable foundation for years. Can we talk? The fallout was instant. The Holloway Art Foundation, my ex-in-law's pride and joy, faced immediate scrutiny. Board members resigned quietly, then not so quietly. A donor posted publicly, I won't support a foundation that sidelines one child to glorify another. If that's art, I want no part of it. I didn't say a word publicly after that first post. I didn't need to. The truth had its own voice now. Lily's violin teacher emailed me the next day. Tell Lily she can perform any solo she wants anytime. And this time, the stage will be hers alone. Then came something I never expected. Venmo, PayPal, mailbox donations, cards from strangers, letters from other kids. One woman wrote, I didn't have a Hannah growing up, but Lily does, and she'll never forget it. Within days, a local bakery offered to donate a custom cake. A music shop reached out, offering a professional violin upgrade for a girl with perfect posture and badass resilience. And then someone asked the magic question. When are we throwing her the party she actually deserves? That's when I smiled for the first time in weeks, because this wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclamation. And Lily's celebration? It hadn't been stolen. It was just beginning. The new invitation was simple. White cardstock, hand-lettered script, a watercolor violin in the corner. Lily's real birthday party, music, magic, and all the right people. Hosted at the Millbrook Community Center, sponsored by a dozen local businesses who saw themselves in our story. We didn't go big, we went true. No formal wear, no stiff recital seating, no judgmental stares or side eyes. Just laughter, games, cupcakes, and kids running wild through a wide-open lawn while bubbles floated over their heads. Lily wore a purple tulle skirt and sparkly sneakers. Her curls were braided with tiny gold clips. She twirled around like she was floating, like she didn't have to ask permission to take up space. The community center staff built a small outdoor stage from donated pallets. I watched her climb the steps holding her tiny violin and a shaky sheet of music. The crowd hushed. Her teacher gave a nod from the side, and Lily raised her bow. She hesitated for half a second, then looked at me. I didn't mouth anything. I just smiled. And that was enough. Her fingers moved slowly at first, then steadied. The song was simple, Twinkle, Twinkle, but she played it like it mattered. Because it did. When she finished, people clapped, not the kind of applause you give to be polite, but the kind that says, we see you. You belong. She didn't bow. She giggled, then ran off stage into a group hug from her classmates. A DJ played pop songs from a makeshift booth. There were face painters, glitter tattoos, and a magician who somehow convinced the kids he made a candy unicorn appear from behind his ear. The cake arrived in a clear case carried by the baker herself. It had Lily's name in shimmering fondant across the top, a violin made of modeling chocolate, and tiny figures of her and a cartoon unicorn dancing under a rainbow. She cut it herself this time. No cousins, no cameras flashing in her face, just a butter knife, a room full of cheers, and frosting on her nose. Afterward, I knelt beside her while she opened cards and handmade drawings from friends, neighbors, even strangers. One little girl gave her a friendship bracelet and whispered, "You're really brave." Lily beamed so wide I thought her cheeks might burst. Then came her speech, unscripted, unsure, completely hers. "Thank you for coming to my real party," she said, voice small but steady. "I'm happy. That's all." That was all she needed to say. Later, a local reporter showed up with a notepad and gentle eyes. She asked a few questions. I told her about the people who had stepped up when others had stepped over us. About how this wasn't just a party, it was a course correction. The article ran in the Sunday feature section under the headline, "When Community Shows Up, a Birthday That Rewrote the Story." My coworkers came too. They brought their kids. One of them, a quiet analyst named Mia, told me watching this, "I think I might finally leave my mother-in-law's house. You reminded me that my kid deserves more." That night, after everyone had left, Lily curled up beside me on the couch, sticky with icing and sleep. "Was that real?" she mumbled. I kissed the top of her head. "It was all real." She smiled. "I want that kind of party every year. We'll make our own traditions," I said. And we would. Because I didn't care what the Halloways thought anymore. We had found something they couldn't manufacture with private schools and curated photo ops. We had found our people, our celebration, our truth. And Lily, my brave, brilliant girl, finally got her moment in the sun. It started with a letter. A thin, official envelope delivered to my mailbox one ordinary Thursday morning. U.S. Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service. Inside, confirmation that a formal investigation had been opened regarding fraudulent dependent claims and misused education funds. The complaint had been substantiated. Audit pending. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee I suddenly couldn't taste. I had expected this, fought for it, but seeing it in writing made my hands tremble. Then came the next domino. A court order froze all transactions connected to Lily's trust. Beatrice's equestrian training fund, gone. Her upcoming competition in Charleston, canceled. Their family lawyer filed an emergency motion to regain access, denied. My phone buzzed a few hours later. "Marisol, my attorney. We've got restitution," she said, voice light. "Full amount from the trust, plus damages for misuse. A new trustee has been appointed. Neutral third party. Everything's locked down tight." I closed my eyes and nodded. Finally. But it didn't stop there. The IRS penalties hit hard. Back taxes, fines, interest. My ex-husband's parents tried to blame their accountant, publicly, loudly, but the paper trail told a different story. The receipts were ironclad. Their once pristine image began to unravel. Whispers spread among their charity circles. Their prestigious art foundation, the one they had lorded over like royalty, began to hemorrhage support. Donors pulled out. The board called an emergency vote. They were strongly encouraged to resign. The press release called it a transition in leadership, but everyone knew. Chelsea, the journalist, followed up with a second article. "When legacy cracks, how one family's pattern of privilege unraveled in public." It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the arrogance. The belief they could manipulate a child's future and expect applause. My ex-husband took it the hardest. His business, an upscale design firm, relied on reputation. Clients began dropping contracts, quietly. Then all at once, the final blow? His wife filed for legal separation. She cited mismanagement of finances and willful deception. I didn't gloat, but I didn't feel sorry either. They made choices. They built a house of cards on Lily's back, and now it was collapsing. Beatrice, for all her entitlement, was just a kid. She lost placement in 2 elite summer programs due to irregularities in application data. One even issued a public statement. They used words like integrity, fair opportunity, and corrective action. No one said her name, but everyone knew. Lily's school district reached out soon after. The superintendent apologized formally in writing for prior oversights in the mishandling of family records. They offered resources and counseling. The school counselor, the one who had flagged Lily's withdrawn behavior, recommended a mentorship program for gifted students. "She's sharp," she told me. "She just needed space to breathe." I signed Lily up that night. As I tucked her in, she looked up at me and whispered, "Do I still have a violin solo next year?" "You'll have as many solos as you want," I said. Justice had come. Not perfectly, not all at once, but piece by piece we were reclaiming everything they tried to take. And this time it was ours to keep. 8 months later, our lives looked completely different. Not louder, not busier, just quieter. Lily didn't ask about her father anymore. Or Beatrice, or her grandparents. Not even once. She was too busy living. She played violin every Thursday with a new teacher who encouraged improvisation. She joined a small book club with 3 other kids who adored dragons and mysteries as much as she did. She'd started asking to go to the library instead of the toy store. One afternoon, I found her in the backyard holding her stuffed elephant up to the sky. "He's flying," she said without looking down. "Because now he's not scared anymore." Neither were we. The legal mess had settled. The trust fund was fully restored, safe in the hands of a court-appointed guardian who emailed me monthly reports. The tax investigation was ongoing, but I didn't need updates to know the consequences were landing exactly where they should. I still got the occasional text from my ex-husband, pitiful, rambling, sometimes angry, sometimes begging. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. We'd built something stronger without them. New friends, new routines, new joy. I started going to bed without waiting for a shoe to drop. I didn't dread the phone ringing. I even opened a side project, mentoring single mothers in the evenings through a local nonprofit. Not because I wanted applause, but because I knew the ache of being told to be quiet, to keep the peace, to smile through insult. Now I helped other women build exit ramps from that kind of silence. Lily's 7th birthday was coming up. When I asked her what she wanted, she didn't say cake or presents or princesses. She said, a picnic, with blankets and books and peanut butter sandwiches. And just my people. Only the ones who love me back. So that's what we planned. A small shaded grove at Greenview Park, fairy lights strung from low-hanging branches, paper crowns and watercolor invitations she helped design. No dress code, no performance, no speeches, just a quiet gathering of people who saw her, really saw her, and never asked her to shrink. As I sat with her one night making a list of who to invite, she paused and looked up. "Mom." "Yeah, baby. Do you think people can tell when they're finally safe?" I thought for a second, then nodded. "Yeah. I think you can feel it in your body. Like your bones finally breathe out." She smiled, satisfied with that. Then she added another name to the list. Her own. At the very top, right where it belonged,